Shocking news. Snoop Dogg was immediately arrested after being discovered to be directly involved in the death of Tupac Shakur years ago. It was thought that their relationship was a close friendship. But just a few minutes ago, a series of crimes committed by Snoop Dogg against Tupac was exposed, leaving fans extremely shocked. Are you ready to listen to the secret of this case? Let's get started. The latest allegations concerning Snoop Dogg's possible connection to Tupac Shakur's death have stirred intense interest, adding new layers of intrigue and suspicion around one of hip-hop's most iconic, yet tragic, events. Death Row Records founder Suge Knight recently reignited these claims during an interview on the Collect Call podcast, raising significant questions regarding Snoop's role in the night of Tupac's murder. Knight, who was present in vehicle with Tupac when he was fatally shot on September 7th, 1996, has expressed deep doubts about Snoop's involvement, underscoring a need for transparency from his former label mate. Knight's statements suggest a complex web of relationships, loyalties, and, possibly, betrayals that define the final chapter of Tupac's life. Knight has emphasized that he feels a face-to-face conversation with Snoop Dogg is necessary to confront these allegations head-on. He believes Snoop owes the hip-hop community an explanation about his actions and knowledge concerning Tupac's murder. Tupac was not only a prominent figure at Death Row, but was also an ally and supporter of Snoop. The late rapper had even featured Snoop on his critically acclaimed 1996 double album All Eyes on Me, speaking highly of him in public and private alike. The betrayal Knight insinuates would be seismic. If the allegations hold any truth, it would unravel the foundational legacy of Death Row Records and the deep-seated alliances formed within that circle. This backdrop of mutual respect and collaboration, as Knight suggests, would make any act of disloyalty all the more devastating. A particularly shocking revelation made by Knight is his claim that Snoop allegedly advised fellow rapper and Death Row affiliate Daz Dillinger to avoid traveling to Las Vegas on the night of the incident. Knight suggests that Snoop warned Dillinger of potential danger, a move that now appears to Knight as suspiciously prescient. According to Knight, Snoop allegedly told Dillinger, "You can't go to the fight, can't go to the club, can't go to Vegas. It's going to be messed up because something's going to happen." This account raises the question of whether Snoop had foreknowledge of the events that unfolded that night. If this claim is accurate, it would suggest that Snoop may have been aware of an impending threat, casting an ominous shadow over his decision to distance Dillinger from that fateful night. Further fueling speculation are Knight's comments on remarks made by Warren G. During an episode of the Drink Champs podcast. Warren G. recalled that he and Snoop heard about Tupac's shooting via a Nextel radio while in Los Angeles, far from the Las Vegas scene. Knight has challenged this account, questioning why Snoop had a radio at all if he wasn't at the fight or with a security team on that night. The only way you have a radio is if you were at the fight with us and had a security detail. Now, if you didn't, what were you doing with a radio? Knight's implication is clear. He suspects Snoop may have been privy to information about the planned attack on Tupac, even if he wasn't physically present in Las Vegas. Tonight, the use of a Nextel radio by Snoop suggests a link or communication channel that raises more questions than answers. The ongoing tension surrounding Tupac Shakur's tragic murder continues to deepen as Death Row Records founder Suge Knight adds new allegations into the mix, questioning Snoop Dogg's sincerity and motives around the time of Tupac's death. In a recent interview, Knight revealed startling new claims that challenged Snoop's recollections and raised doubts about his loyalty to Tupac. Knight's assertions cast a shadow over Snoop's long-standing narrative, suggesting a gap between Snoop's public statements and the reality of his actions during Tupac's final days. One of the most controversial points Knight raises concerns Snoop's claim that he visited Tupac in the hospital after the September 7th, 1996 shooting in Las Vegas. Snoop had recounted an emotional moment in the hospital room, claiming he was so overcome by Tupac's condition that he fainted. In an interview, Snoop said, "He had tubes in him, and when I walked in I could feel he wasn't there. I fainted." This poignant statement painted Snoop as a friend and fellow artist who was deeply affected by Tupac's demise. However, Knight directly disputes Snoop's account, claiming that Snoop never actually visited Tupac in the hospital. According to Knight, Snoop's statement does not align with what happened in reality, raising serious questions about Snoop's intentions in retelling this emotional account. Knight's challenge to Snoop's hospital visit claim opens up a troubling line of questioning regarding Snoop's loyalty to Tupac and the truthfulness of his statements over the years. Knight's allegations imply that Snoop may have been constructing a narrative of grief and loyalty for public consumption, one that Knight says simply wasn't true. This casts doubt on the image of solidarity Snoop has portrayed since Tupac's death, suggesting instead that Snoop may have maintained a complicated relationship with the late rapper, marked by public loyalty but private distance. In addition to casting doubt on Snoop's hospital visit, Knight drops another bombshell accusation that has added fuel to the speculation surrounding Snoop's connection to Tupac's killers. Knight claims that Snoop and fellow death row rapper Daz Dillinger collaborated on a song with DeAndre Smith, who Knight alleges was involved in Tupac's murder. If he was cool with Pac, why would he be okay releasing a song with one of Pac's alleged killers? Knight asked pointedly. The collaboration, which took place while Knight was incarcerated, raises the unsettling prospect of Snoop fraternizing with individuals connected to Tupac's death. Knight's assertion places Snoop and Daz in a potentially compromising position, suggesting that they worked with someone from the faction suspected of having a hand in Tupac's demise. This association becomes even more problematic considering the context of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry and the dangers that Tupac and Death Row had faced during that period. If true, the collaboration would appear to be a significant betrayal of Tupac's memory and the values he fought for, placing Snoop and Daz in alignment with those responsible for one of hip-hop's most notorious tragedies. For Knight, who was deeply invested in protecting Tupac and Death Row Records, such a partnership would be nothing less than a slap in the face to Tupac's legacy. To understand Suge Knight's suspicions regarding Snoop Dogg's involvement in Tupac Shakur's murder, we must delve into the complex relationships between the three men, Snoop, Tupac, and Knight. Their interconnected histories reveal a tapestry of camaraderie, loyalty, and betrayal set against the backdrop of the volatile world of 1990s hip-hop. Snoop Dogg, born Calvin Cortazar Broadus Jr., grew up in the streets of Compton, California during a time when gang violence was an everyday reality. This environment shaped his identity and led to his early affiliations with the notorious Crips gang. Despite these challenging beginnings, Snoop exhibited a remarkable talent for rap, which quickly became his path to success. His breakthrough came in 1992 when he was signed to Death Row Records, a label founded by Suge Knight and Dr. Dre. This partnership marked the beginning of Snoop's ascent in the music industry, aligning him with some of the most influential figures in hip-hop. Upon signing with Death Row, Snoop released his debut album, Doggy Style, later that same year. The album was an unprecedented success, selling over 6 million copies worldwide and solidifying Snoop as a household name in rap music. His innovative sound, characterized by laid-back beats and poetic lyricism, resonated with audiences across the globe, positioning him as a leading figure in the genre. At this time, Snoop was not just a rising star. He was the face of Death Row Records, embodying its swagger and rebellious spirit. During this period, Snoop developed a close friendship with Tupac Shakur, who had joined Death Row in 1995. Their bond was rooted in mutual respect and admiration for each other's artistry, and both rappers often collaborated on various projects. Tupac, known for his passionate lyricism and socially conscious themes, saw Snoop as a brother in arms, and their relationship seemed to symbolize the potential for unity within the often divided landscape of West Coast hip-hop. However, the dynamics within Death Row were fraught with tension. Suge Knight, a formidable figure in the music industry, had a reputation for his aggressive business tactics and complex interpersonal relationships. While Knight played a significant role in shaping the careers of both Snoop and Tupac, his methods often bred mistrust among those in his inner circle. The power struggles, combined with the intense pressures of fame and the East Coast-West Coast rivalry, created an environment ripe for conflict. Knight's suspicions about Snoop's loyalty could stem from several factors. Despite the apparent friendship between Snoop and Tupac, there were underlying tensions within Death Row, especially as Tupac became increasingly vocal about his rivals and the politics of the music industry. In the days leading up to Tupac's murder, Snoop found himself caught between loyalty to his friend and navigating the unpredictable landscape of gang affiliations, business pressures, and Knight's volatile temperament. Knight has suggested that Snoop's actions during this period were questionable, particularly regarding his relationship with Daz Dillinger and the allegations of collaborating with individuals associated with Tupac's murder. Such actions could have given Knight reason to feel that Snoop's loyalties were divided or even compromised, despite their shared history. Knight's belief that Snoop was somehow involved in the tragic events surrounding Tupac's death reflects a broader theme of mistrust that characterized the era, a time when alliances could shift dramatically and friendships could turn into rivalries overnight. In 1995, the landscape of hip-hop was about to shift dramatically with the arrival of a dynamic force, Tupac Shakur. Known for his poignant lyrics and deeply resonant themes, Tupac was not just another rapper. He was a revolutionary voice for marginalized communities, addressing issues of social justice, racism, and the harsh realities of urban life. His presence in the industry quickly established him as a heavyweight, and by the time he entered the scene, he had already made a significant impact with albums like Tupacalypse Now and Me Against the World. At the same time, Snoop Dogg, with his smooth, laid-back delivery and unique blend of West Coast G-Funk, was rapidly climbing the ranks of hip-hop royalty. Both artists, though stylistically different, were on parallel paths to superstardom, and their eventual meeting was destined to become one of the most iconic collaborations in music history. The momentous encounter between Snoop Dogg and Tupac took place at a recording studio in Los Angeles, where Tupac was in the midst of crafting his groundbreaking double album, All Eyes on Me. As a key member of the Death Row Records family, Snoop was invited to join Tupac in the studio for a collaboration on one of the album's tracks. This invitation was not just a mere formality. It was the beginning of a creative partnership that would leave an indelible mark on the hip-hop genre. As they convened in the studio, the atmosphere was charged with excitement and anticipation. Here were two of hip-hop's brightest stars, both in their prime and bursting with creativity. Ready to combine their artistic visions, the synergy between them was palpable. While Tupac's lyrics were often raw and impassioned, addressing the struggles and injustices faced by their communities, Snoop's style offered a more laid-back, almost nonchalant perspective that counterbalanced Tupac's intensity. This dynamic created a harmonious blend that resonated deeply with audiences. During their collaboration, they quickly discovered that they shared not only a passion for music, but also a mutual understanding of the challenges they faced. Both artists hailed from rough backgrounds, Tupac from East Harlem and Snoop from the streets of Compton, and they were all too familiar with the societal issues that influenced their lives and music. This commonality formed the foundation of their bond, as they recognized the power of their platforms to influence change and give voice to the struggles of their communities. The chemistry they exhibited in the studio was undeniable. They pushed each other creatively, igniting a fire that resulted in some of the most memorable tracks of the era. Their collaboration on songs for All Eyes on Me, including the iconic Two of America's Most Wanted, showcased their ability to blend their distinct styles seamlessly, creating a sound that felt both fresh and timeless. The song became a celebration of their friendship and camaraderie, marking a significant moment in hip-hop history. Tupac Shakur and Snoop Dogg's friendship transcended the studio walls, evolving into a profound and lasting connection that was built on mutual respect, loyalty, and shared experiences. In an industry often characterized by fierce competition and rivalries, their bond stood out as a rare testament to authenticity and support. From the very beginning of their collaboration, Tupac and Snoop became more than just artistic partners. They became confidants. They leaned on each other during personal and professional struggles, providing a much-needed support system in the high-pressure world of hip-hop. Whether it was celebrating each other's successes or navigating the tumultuous waters of fame, they were there for one another, proving that genuine friendship could thrive even amidst the chaos of the music industry. This camaraderie was particularly remarkable given the backdrop of the 1990s hip-hop scene, which was rife with tension, especially during the infamous East Coast-West Coast rivalry. Many artists were embroiled in conflicts that threatened their careers and personal lives. However, Tupac and Snoop managed to create a sanctuary in their friendship, a space where they could express their vulnerabilities without fear of judgment or rivalry. They shared dreams, fears, and aspirations, supporting each other in a way that exemplified true loyalty. Their bond also extended to personal interests that connected them on a deeper level. One of the more surprising facets of their friendship was their shared passion for cannabis. The culture of marijuana was deeply embedded in the West Coast rap scene, and both artists embraced this lifestyle openly. During a rap party for the film Poetic Justice in 1999, an iconic moment solidified this aspect of their friendship. It was there that Tupac introduced Snoop to the art of smoking blunts. Snoop Dogg, who had already established himself as a prominent figure in hip-hop, revealed in later interviews that this was his first experience with a blunt, a type of cannabis cigar that is often larger and provides a more extended smoking experience than traditional joints. On that night, Pac passed me my first blunt, Snoop recounted, reflecting on the moment with fondness. This act, simple yet profound, became emblematic of their friendship, a shared experience that further deepened their connection. As Tupac Shakur and Snoop Dogg's friendship blossomed, so did their influence on the hip-hop landscape. Their unique partnership became a defining aspect of 1990 hip-hop culture, resonating with fans not only in the United States, but around the world. Together, they created a sound that was fresh yet deeply rooted in the realities of life in their communities, marking them as pioneers of the genre. Their collaborations, such as the iconic Two of America's Most Wanted and Gangsta Party, were not just songs. They were anthems for a generation. These tracks showcased their incredible chemistry, combining Tupac's potent lyrical prowess with Snoop's smooth, laid-back delivery. The juxtaposition of Tupac's intense and socially conscious messages with Snoop's effortless storytelling created a dynamic that captivated listeners. Each song became a powerful reflection of the experiences and struggles faced by many in the inner cities, addressing themes such as poverty, violence, and systemic injustice. The production quality of their collaborations, often backed by legendary producers like Dr. Dre, further amplified the impact of their music. The beats were infectious, with deep bass lines and intricate rhythms that made their songs irresistible. The combination of Snoop's G-Funk sound with Tupac's East Coast influences created a unique blend that transcended geographical boundaries, appealing to a diverse audience and contributing to the growing popularity of West Coast hip-hop. When Tupac and Snoop took the stage together, it was nothing short of electrifying. Their performances were infused with a palpable energy that reverberated through the crowd. They had a natural rapport, often feeding off each other's energy and improvising in the moment. Their ability to connect with their audience was extraordinary, drawing fans into their world through captivating stage presence and charisma. The synergy they exhibited while performing became legendary, and their live shows were often described as transformative experiences. But what truly set Tupac and Snoop apart was the depth of their lyrics. Tupac was renowned for his thought-provoking, socially conscious content, often tackling pressing issues such as racism, police brutality, and the struggles of growing up in disadvantaged neighborhoods. He had an uncanny ability to articulate the pain and anger felt by many, turning his personal experiences into a universal message. Snoop, on the other hand, brought a more laid-back and relatable perspective to the table. His storytelling abilities allowed him to weave narratives that resonated with everyday experiences, often infused with humor and clever wordplay. Together, they created a musical dialogue that not only entertained but also inspired change. Their songs served as a platform to shed light on the struggles of their communities, encouraging listeners to confront the harsh realities of life while also providing a sense of hope and resilience. This combination of social awareness and artistic expression solidified their legacy as not just entertainers, but also as influential voices in the movement for social justice. As the friendship between Tupac Shakur and Snoop Dogg flourished, it was not long before underlying tensions began to surface, ultimately complicating their relationship and leading to a dramatic shift within the Death Row Records hierarchy. Initially, the duo's bond was characterized by mutual respect and support. But as Tupac's fame skyrocketed, feelings of jealousy and rivalry began to seep into Snoop's psyche. According to various accounts, including insights from Lil M.B., a former executive at Death Row, the dynamics within the label shifted significantly with Tupac's rising star. In an interview with The Art of Dialogue, Lil M.B. explained, "When Snoop beat that case, that's when the dynamics started changing. You start hearing about Suge leaving, and then Pac was slowly but surely, you could say, taking over." Snoop's initial triumph in overcoming legal battles should have been a moment of celebration, but instead, it marked the beginning of a perceived struggle for dominance. Tupac's arrival at death row injected new life into the label, but it also created a competitive atmosphere that began to overshadow Snoop's own accomplishments. As Tupac's presence grew, so did the pressures that came with it. While both artists enjoyed considerable fame, Tupac's relentless work ethic and willingness to confront difficult social issues through his music garnered him immense attention. Snoop, known for his laid-back persona and smooth delivery, suddenly found himself in a position where he felt overshadowed. This shift in the spotlight would ultimately lead to feelings of insecurity and jealousy, emotions that are all too common in the high-stakes world of entertainment. However, the unraveling of their friendship cannot be attributed solely to Snoop's jealousy. The infamous East Coast-West Coast rivalry that defined the hip-hop landscape in the Mille, 1990s, became a significant factor in the deterioration of their relationship. As tensions escalated between artists from the two coasts, both Tupac and Snoop found themselves ensnared in a web of conflict and misunderstanding. This rivalry was fueled by media sensationalism and personal vendettas, creating an atmosphere of distrust and hostility. Things took a pivotal turn after Snoop Dogg participated in an interview with BET, where he publicly expressed his admiration for Biggie Smalls, Tupac's most prominent rival. In the interview, Snoop stated, "Biggie Smalls, he's an artist that you know what I'm saying. I listen to his music. I love his work. It's no beef. It's nothing personal. I don't hate him, and I don't disrespect him. And I love what he does. You know what I'm saying. And it's just me. I'm just a smooth, peaceful individual. I don't have beef with nobody right now." The friendship between Tupac Shakur and Snoop Dogg was a powerful force in the hip-hop world. But it faced an insurmountable challenge when the notorious East Coast-West Coast rivalry came to the forefront. For Tupac, loyalty was not just a personal value, it was a fundamental aspect of the gang culture from which he hailed. Within this world, allegiances were paramount, and betrayal could have dire consequences. When Snoop publicly expressed his admiration for Biggie Smalls during a BET interview, it signaled to Tupac a perceived disloyalty. To Tupac, his enemies automatically became his friends' enemies, and by voicing his lack of animosity toward Biggie, Snoop effectively positioned himself as a traitor in Tupac's eyes. The divide between the two artists grew more pronounced as Tupac felt the line had been drawn. Loyalty within the hip-hop community was essential, especially during a time when the stakes were high and rivalries were often settled with violence. By siding with Biggie, Snoop inadvertently placed himself on the opposite side of a war that had deep roots in both personal and artistic competition. For Tupac, Snoop's stance was not just a difference of opinion, it felt like a direct betrayal of their friendship, and it catalyzed a significant shift in the dynamics of their relationship. Despite the increasing tension, Snoop remained adamant that the rivalry itself didn't make sense. He tried to articulate his position during various interviews, expressing a longing for unity instead of conflict. Snoop stated, "We all used to hang out. I love Big, and I love packing, and both of them love me, so how I look saying, Biggie? Yeah, 'cause I'm with Pac. We was on the same, yeah, they rapping the same, we rapping, we got the same struggle, the same hustle. We can't get along, why we can't like these." In his mind, the artists were all part of the same community, facing similar struggles and challenges. The idea of turning friends into foes felt contradictory to the message they were trying to promote through their music. However, despite Snoop's attempts at reconciliation and his commitment to respecting the game, the atmosphere had already shifted dramatically. Snoop felt the backlash from his peers, who viewed his comments as a betrayal to the death row family and by extension to Tupac. But his aggression was towards me solely because I said I'm cool with Puffy and Biggie during the interview with you, he explained. Tupac took it as if I wasn't down with him anymore, as if I was side-busting, as if I was scared. Death Row looked at me like a traitor. The transformation of friendship into animosity is a theme that permeated the turbulent world of hip-hop in the 1990s. And for Snoop Dogg, the reality of this shift hit hard. Once a close ally, Tupac Shakur became an earnest enemy, and the web of loyalty that Snoop had built around him began to unravel. In a ruthless industry characterized by competition and betrayal, Snoop soon learned that he wasn't as special as he had once believed. Even those he considered friends could turn against him in the blink of an eye. The turning point came during an incident that shook Snoop to his core. He was scheduled to board a private jet with Death Row Records, an environment that had previously been a safe haven for him. Typically, the plane would be filled with familiar faces: Tupac, their security teams, Suge Knight, and a few of Suge's associates. But this time, Snoop faced an unsettling reality. As he approached the airport, he was blindsided when Suge Knight, the founder of Death Row, denied entry to his security team. Normally, on a private plane, it is packed. His security, me, my security, Suge, and a couple of his homies, Snoop recalled. This time, I go to the airport, my security walking with me. Suge looked like, hold up, they can't roll. They got to catch a regular flight. Being separated from his trusted security detail was a harbinger of danger that Snoop couldn't ignore. He felt an ominous chill creep over him as he realized he was now vulnerable without the protective barrier that had always been part of his entourage. The lack of security was not merely a logistical oversight. It felt like a calculated move within the increasingly volatile atmosphere of Death Row. Snoop understood that he needed to protect himself, and he knew that the stakes had never been higher. It was a chilling reminder of the shifting tides within the label and the fractures in the friendships that once seemed unbreakable. In a desperate attempt to prepare for potential danger, Snoop took drastic measures. He armed himself with cutlery, a knife and fork, ready to defend his life if the situation escalated. I'm like, what's up? P, why do they do me like this? So I walked to the back of the plane. Give me a blanket. Grab me a knife and a fork, he recounted. The 5-hour flight became a surreal experience for Snoop, who sat there clutching his makeshift weapons, terrified yet resolute. While the rest of the crew laughed and joked, Snoop felt isolated and alone, an outsider.